we could go wherever we wanted without leaving the house.
男性を女性と与えるもの。
They should never have really stayed on board.
This is Asia Now.
Hello there, it's 5 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 2:30 in New Delhi and 4 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Oteli Edwards. At this hour, Singapore rolls out an $800 million support package to help firms and workers hit by tightened COVID-19 restrictions. Japan set to extend its state of COVID-19 emergency for Tokyo and 8 other prefectures, less than 2 months to the Olympic Games. At the same time, Japan also mulling sharing its coronavirus vaccines with others. This comes amid calls for aid to Taiwan, which is struggling with vaccination for its population. Singapore is rolling out an $800 million package to support firms and workers hit by its latest tightened restrictions. For a month since mid-May, dine-ins are not allowed, and some businesses have also been forced to shut. This includes indoor gyms and fitness studios. To help them, wage support of 50% will be given until mid-June under the Job Support Scheme. For firms not required to close but are significantly affected, such as cinemas, they will get 30% wage support. Meantime, rental relief of between half and 1 month will be given to tenants in properties. To help affected workers, those with lower to middle income and self-employed will get a one-off payout between $500 and $700 under a new grant. At the same time, the Education Ministry will extend the grace period to pay tuition fee and study loans by another 4 months. Unlike previous support packages, the government isn't drawing down on the country's reserves this time.
Because most parts of the economy are still operating, businesses and individuals have learned to adapt, and we now also have more government support schemes like the Jobs Growth Incentive and the SG United Jobs and Skills Package, which are continuing to support new jobs and opportunities for Singaporeans. So our circumstances today are very different compared to last year. And under such a circumstance, I don't think we should be going to the President to seek permission to draw on our past reserves.
Well, Mr. Wong also adds that there are no plans for now to further tighten restrictions, as current measures seem to be working. He says more details on the situation will be out on Monday, when the COVID-19 task force will hold a media conference. Still, he is urging the public to remain vigilant and continue to cut down on moving about.
The preliminary assessment is that measures are working. We are not making any further tightening moves at this stage, but we cannot be complacent at the same time. All right? We still have to be vigilant, do everything we can for everyone in Singapore to do our part. Scale back activities, minimize movement, be alert and vigilant whenever we go out, take all the necessary precautions, and I think if we all do that, we can continue to make progress in controlling the infection.
Well, Singapore, meantime, has reported 15 new COVID-19 cases in the community today. 4 of them are unlinked. Of the 11 linked cases, 8 have already been quarantined. There are also 15 imported cases, and of these, 8 are returning Singaporeans or Singapore permanent residents. All were placed on stay-home notice upon arrival. The 30 new cases today takes the national tally to 61,970. Well, Japan set to extend its COVID-19 state of emergency for Tokyo and 8 other prefectures. An advisory panel to the government has already approved the plan. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga is expected to announce the decision in the coming hours. The current states of emergency are set to end on Monday, but will likely be extended till 20th of June. Well, that's the same day Okinawa's declaration is due to expire. The Olympic Games will begin a month later, from the 23rd of July. Japan is pulling out all the stops as it faces growing calls to cancel the games. The country has recorded more than 4,100 new cases and 111 deaths yesterday. It has been struggling to control the spread of highly infectious new virus variants. The government is also rushing to get its population vaccinated. It has just given the green light for the Pfizer vaccine for children aged 12 and above. As a state of emergency gets extended, the Bank of Japan is also mulling to extend relief measures to help companies cushion the economic blow. Philippine athletes bound for the Tokyo Olympics have received their COVID-19 vaccinations. Over 500 members of the Philippine contingent received the Sinovac jab. Athletes and delegates were given priority by authorities. Now, some athletes say they are now at ease after receiving their jab. They say they can train with confidence, knowing they have some degree of protection. The International Olympic Committee has sought to convince athletes as well as Japan that the Tokyo Games will be safe. Well, Japan is considering to share its COVID-19 vaccines with others. This comes amid calls to help Taiwan, which is struggling to vaccinate its population. A ruling party committee has urged the government to provide some of Japan's AstraZeneca stock to the island. Tokyo has secured more than 400 million doses of vaccines, double what it needs for its adult population. Meantime, Taiwan's supplies are running out rapidly. Only 1% of its residents have been vaccinated as a new wave of infection hits. A Japanese politician notes that when the country was in need, Taiwan had sent them 2 million masks. In response, the government stressed the importance to ensure fair access to vaccines in every country and region. But officials declined to comment whether Tokyo had received supply requests from specific regions. Well, over in Thailand, its Food and Drug Administration has approved China's Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine for emergency use cases in the country. Senior health officials say the vaccine, called Covilo, has also been included in the WHO's emergency use listing. The vaccine is developed by Sinopharm's subsidiary, Beijing Institute of Biological Product. 2 doses of Covilo at a 28-day interval gives it a 79% efficacy rate against infections, according to the WHO. This is the 5th COVID-19 vaccine approved for use in Thailand by the FDA. Nearly 7 million people in Australia's Victoria state are in a new lockdown. It is its 4th since the start of the pandemic. It took effect overnight and will last for a week. Authorities hope that this will help them contain a fast-growing COVID-19 cluster in Melbourne. 4 new cases were reported on the first day of the lockdown, bringing the cluster total to 30 in just 5 days. Victoria residents must now remain at home at all times. Exceptions are made for essential work, grocery shopping, healthcare or exercise. Masks must be worn at all times unless at home. Prime Minister Scott Morrison warns of tough times ahead.
The next 7 days in Victoria will be very challenging. And of course, we are very mindful of the distress and the difficulty that this will impose upon people right across Victoria as a result of what is being described, rightly I think, by the acting Premier as a circuit-breaking lockdown, and a lockdown for 7 days that hopefully won't go as long as that.
Well, Mr. Morrison has said he will ensure Australia is among the leaders in the world when it comes to administering vaccine shots. But Australia has not only been slow in its rollout, vaccine hesitancy is rife. Brianna Piazza tells us what authorities are doing to convince more people to get inoculated.
We've heard many times now from our Prime Minister Scott Morrison that Australia is the envy of the world because it's managed to, for the most part, stamp out COVID-19. In most of the country, really, life has been going on as normal with little or no restrictions at all. So it's really these lockdowns that are happening tend to be not too often, but still very, very much a concern for businesses, particularly here in Melbourne. So pretty much one of the issues issues that we're running into with the vaccine rollout is hesitancy. So that relates to very much sections of the population that are eligible to be vaccinated. Many people are holding off on getting their vaccinations because of concerns they may have around the safety of the vaccine. So even just in recent days, we heard that the vaccination hubs in Melbourne